Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, as you are going through an important discussion of the corruptions, and we are finalizing about the corruption and talking about different reasons, causes, its effects, the sectors that are being affected by this. Although the corruption is a general phenomena, yet we are talking about the corruption in the context of the Pakistan. In Pakistan, as the name of Pakistan appears, the corruption looks a huge phenomena. Although there is corruption, yet the image of Pakistan in context of corruption is not very good around the globe. So after talking about the budget, we just jump towards the corruption, and as there was the budget, it means we were talking about the money. We immediately and deliberately I went towards the corruption, because budget and corruption, you can say, they may be linked for this, not necessarily true that they are linked. What is the corruption? Simply speaking, misuse of authority, misuse of any of the authority, public authority, or you are given the authority. This falls in the domain of the corruption. It is a very comprehensive term. It should not be taken as a narrow term. It comprehensive, and it encircle all those activities, starting from the administrative corruption towards the moral corruption. My emphasis in the previous lecture remains more on the moral corruption, because we take it easy, we take it as granted, yet it is a very critical. It is not less harmful as compared to the other, that is the direct exchange of money for this. What is the moral corruption? That if any of the person is unable to perform his duties that are assigned to him in a proper and true spirited way, then it is some kind of the moral corruption. If we see in our locality, from traveling toward to the markets, everywhere you will see that there is huge moral corruption. Everyone is speaking with telling a lie with the others, and everyone try to bluff and deceive other. It should not be the part of the game. For example, if you go any of the shop, they will swear, even they can swear that this is the rate of this is that, and they are selling it. But as you will negotiate, you will come to know that immediately the same person will be negotiating, and he will be just below the actual price of this that he was telling before. If you go to the milkman, you will see that the milk is not pure. It is a mixture of water, and although the chemistry of the milk is that 90% water is there, yet if you will see here that there is the mixture of the water that is being done on different value-added stages. It starts from the farmer. He also put water into, then the milkman, then the other. So I can say the value addition is there, the value addition of the corruption. Very you can say technical way I am going to explain this. So these are all the moral corruption that should be extremely discouraged. And I remember at the end of the last lecture, I made a promise with you, and I tried to convince you that the corruption is a major cause of our problems, and if to the of our extent we reduce this, I think there could be a significant effect on the macro level. Do not think that what I can do at micro level, all the system starts at the micro level, and when there is a combination of the micro, there is a macro level, and the many people come into the domain, and there is a multiplier effect. And even if there is no effect, that I may be supposing, you can satisfy yourself that on your behalf you have done their duty, you are not responsible to any of the authority. God is happy with you, and you have done their duty. I may be more, you can say, the religious at this time, but this is not the problem of the religion, that you say that being an Islamic person. These are the teachings of all the religions that exist throughout the history of the human nations. Sikhism, you can say the Christianism, Judaism, all these say that there should be no corruption of this or that kind. So this topic was partially covered in the previous lecture, and from that we will see talk about a bit corruption, and then we see some of the maladies or the challenges of Pakistan in the same context, although it is a bit different. It will be a bit different topic, but ultimately you will see that it will be linking with it. Moral corruption in our society, some kinds I explained. What is this? Selfishness. Selfishness, what is this? That we just think about us. If I am getting 100 rupee benefit, I will not see that due to this 100, how many people are on stake. For example, if I am a factory owner and I will be throwing polluted water into the canal that are used by the people, it is, you can see that it is a crime against society, and I am responsible for this. There is the possibility that the many people lose their life due to this health problem, and if the water is so intoxicated, it can create many of the problem. Similarly, if I am not putting the pure medicine on the medical stores, I am just getting some of the money, but at the same time giving huge loss to the society. There is the issue of the death and the life of the people, and I am playing with the life of the people. So it is the selfishness. Unawareness, this is also you can say a least critical, you can say, kind of the corruption, particularly in the countries like Pakistan. Some people are aware of this, so it should be their duty. For example, if I am driving on the road, I should be aware of the rules and regulation to drive on the motorway. If I am unaware, though it is less crime, yet it is also, you can say, a part of the moral corruption. So many people are doing some of the corruption due to their unawareness. However, it is their duty to be aware of this, because when they are making profit, no one has taught them that how to get the profit, but they are inventing wonderful methods of wonderful and innovative method of making profits. Less temperament. I can see that every time when we are speaking in the, you can say, the meetings, in the classroom, in the staff room, on the roads, in the, you can say, the parks, the people show less temperament and they just scuffle with each other very quickly. For example, if you are going on a road and you just hit very slightly to the car of the person who is going before ahead of you, you will see that immediately there will be scuffle, there will be hot conversation, and ultimately the people will be beating each other. So this is loss of temperament. It will not reverse the incident, but it will exaggerate the intensity of the incident. What should be done, that if we should drive carefully, but unfortunately if it happens, we should immediately try to resolve the problem rather than to fight with each other, because if we will fight with each other, the problem will remain the same and still it will create the problem for many other people. I think you are well aware of this, and you are going through the live phenomena of this many times. You, for example, if the parks, you are making some of the gesture, people will immediately try to make hard conversation with you, and you will be confused for this. So the low temperament is also one kind of the moral corruption. And what is this? This is a unitless nation, ununited nation. And you know, the union is strength, united we stand, divided we fall. But unfortunately this nation is totally ununited. For example, I will be giving you, on ethnic basis, no unity; on language basis, no unity; on regional basis, no unity; on the religious basis, on no unity. So I will be taking out this one, that is the religion, that is I think more easy to explain religion. For example, if you see that our religion is Islam, being a Muslim, we believe in the Almighty Allah and we believe in the Quran. But if the source of information is the same, then why there is required? It is hard to understand that if our source of information, our source of religion, our source of all these things from where we get, these are the same. We believe in the same Creator, we believe in the Day of Judgment, then why there are the problem of this? This is also the kind of moral corruption. We are teaching the students that is we are just memorizing them. Even I will say that this is a part of the moral corruption. For example, if you do not let the people what you are teaching them, this is part of the moral corruption. So it is at a hike in nowadays in Pakistan. Not only if, for example, if there is a bias between the Sindhis and the Punjabis, Sindhis and the Balochis and the Pakhtuns, so these are the corruption. We are one nation, but we are ununited nation. We are Pakistani first, then we are Sindhi, Balochi or others. If Pakistan is there, we are there, otherwise there will be no survival. So this is, if we are ununited, we do not strive for the betterment of the country, this is the part of the corruption. Few corruption cases in Pakistan, this is a few. It can be listed, the list is as large as you can say as the highway of Pakistan and the motorway Pakistan from Islamabad to Lahore. So very high. Every department, every time there is on continuous basis, like there is a change and there is a fall and rise of the rupee and the value of the dollar on microsecond basis. You can see that in Pakistan on regular basis there appear huge scams, and the people are stunned by this, and still the scam is in the news. The new phenomena appears and the previous is out of the scene. The people run before the other one. Hajj corruption case, very famous case. I would not like to relate it with the time, but in recent years you will see that there is a very Hajj corruption case, and one of our ministers has to face the imprisonment. He has to see the jail for this crap. Look at this, how Hajj is very sacred to each of us. If you see on the Christmas day, you will see that all the shopkeepers are reducing the prices so that the people enjoy the true spirit of the Christmas. But on the other hand, in the Hajj tour, you will see that each and every person try to extract more and more money from the Hajis and the people. For example, the corruption start from the very first step when you approach any of the you can say operator, or I will call it an agent. Hajj agent or the tour operators, whatever you call it. If you go there, he will be telling you something different. And he will be satisfying you. He will be saying, no, that person is getting more, he is not reliable, he is this and this, I will be doing this and this. So you are trapped. This, you give some money, you pay for this, but over time you see that there is huge corruption, starting from your air flight, air ticket to the you can say the return of you. वहाँ आप जाएंगे तो आपको वो होटल नहीं मिलेंगे that were promised in you. There will be Naz as facilities. There is the possibility that you are asked that you will be leaving on that day, but you will not be there. Huge and massive you can say khurdburd of these resources. So the Hajj corruption case is one of the example of this. Mighty corruption in the health ministry. There are lot of stories कि करोड़ों की मशीनरी आई, but it could not see the light of the day in Pakistan. It didn't travel from its destination, but it reached the air and reached the seaport. It traveled in Pakistan just on paper. It was installed in the hospitals, and ultimately it was vanished there is no traveling of the machinery. It is quite possible that even the machinery is not in the inventory stock of that firm or the company. This is some extreme case. There are other cases that there are huge sale of these medicine that are supplied from the government or the donor agencies for the poor people. So this is also, these are the mighty corruptions. Over the years you can see, you can't mention any of the decade in which there were not huge and mighty health related scams that engulfed the history of Pakistan. If you see in education, that is the more sacred. पैगम्बराना पेशा इसको जो है वो कहते हैं, that this is the profession of the prophets, and yet it is. But you will see that here there has been huge corruptions on this. There have been ghost schools. Schools do not exist. Salary is going for those people. Even the teachers do not exist. There is the salary is going this. So there are you can say the very massive and very critical scams in education, in federal as well as at the provincial level. In many of the districts in all parts of the Pakistan, there are host school, and all the governments now, it is interesting phenomena that in 4 provinces of Pakistan there is not the government of the same party. For example, in Punjab there is another party, in Sindh another party. I am not linking it with the time. So why they are not able to investigate that what is this and why there is the host school? Punjab Bank's corruption scandal, very famous scandal, and many people lost their savings due to this, and still the peoples are, you can say, wandering into Pakistan without any fear, who ate up the savings of very poor people. No one is getting the responsibility. No one is just putting the blame on the other's doors and trying to get rid of them. But ultimately it was a very big scam, financial scam in the history of the Pakistan, and the most effective of these were the poor people of Pakistan. So if the poor people are so victimized, ultimately these people have to be responsible to something. Pakistan street milk corruption, huge robbery in Pak history. You can see कि वहाँ तो बात करोड़ों की होती ही नहीं है, अरबों डॉलर जो है वो ले लिए. If you go to the Ogra, you will see there are they will not be, and now we are not talking about in the crores, we are talking about the Arabs, billions. Now we are talking about that there are the billions rupee scams for this nation. NICL scandal, this is also very famous scandal. Many prominent administrators have been you can say I can say the culprits, but they have been blamed for that they are this part of this. So this was just a bunch from the block. It was not the total block, but from here you can guess that how could be how there have been different scams, stories, scandals for this corruption over Pakistan, and still there have been not you can say concrete measure to get rid of this. But I am not saying that the Constitution is unable to frame any of the law against the corruption. There are laws, but unfortunately the implementation is required. Reasons for corruptions, why there is corruption, बता सकते हैं? मेरे ख्याल में very quickly you can say these are against a few reasons. If I try to list this, I can say that the whole lecture will just be consumed on this. So it is just a giving an idea to you that how this could be the low salaries. There is the topic of public administration, so we will be confining ourselves to public corporations or the public institution corruption. Low salaries. The basic needs, the fulfillment of the basic needs of need of any of the person or the citizen of the Pakistan is the basic needs, and the protection for this is provided by the Constitution. So what are the basic needs? It is very difficult to define a thing that could be a need for you, but it could be a luxury for me. However, there are some certain criterias, and what this is, the salaries due to inflation, there is a real and massive increase in the real income of the people or the public servants. So what is the alternate? It encourages, rather than encourages, it forces them to adopt the corruption. So this is the major reason for this. However, the government tries to compensate the public servants but by the salaries, but this is not as equal to the inflation. Inflation is running faster than the increase in the salaries. So it means in real time the salaries of the public servants is decreasing. Otherwise, more technical, the purchasing power of each and every person, that is the government servant, that is the fixed salary, it is decreasing. So when there will be low salary, when I will be not getting my needs fulfilled, what is choice for me? If I am unable to pay the reasonable fee for my children, I have no money for the treatment of my children and parents. So what are the alternatives? Alternatives are provided for the corruption. The societies who have controlled over the corruption, they first provided them the sustainability, then we can go for this. If you keep the people hungry and then you put restriction that you cannot cross and access to the food, they will not be stopped. They will be reaching at any cost because there is threat to their life. So this is one of the major reason of this. The second reason is the absence of transparency, rules and regulation. Be sure that the law provides and encircle each and every business of life, but still it is many of the you can say the clauses of the law remain unimplemented. The absence of transparency in all our government activities, government businesses, government transaction, there is not as much transparency as it should be required. Sometimes now it is good for Pakistan that there is a law of information, and it enables all the citizens of Pakistan to have access to the knowledge, access to the information. So it may have some of the significant effect, but still the absence of transparency, as the people have no information to the information to access, that's why there is no transparency. However, there are some of the mechanism like audit, accounting and whatsoever, yet these are not transparent, and you can go easily and quickly if you have some of the relations or by the corruption. This is also, if there is high transparency level, it increases the possibility that there is less corruption. The absence of accountability. Human nature is of different mechanism. Its chemistry is different. It is unique in the sense that there is a huge difference, or you can say huge लोगों के दरमियान लोग एक दूसरे से बिल्कुल जो है वो मुख्तलिफ होते हैं. So that what is this? That every person, without some of the exceptions, adopts or avoids the corruption, avoids or try to get away from the corruption due to the sentences that are prescribed by the law. If there are strict sentences or punishments, rules and regulation, then the person will be avoiding for this. The accountability is not there. If as I said, I used to start my example from my own you can say the individuality. If I go to the class 10 minutes late, I am sure no one is going to make me accountable. So it is although it is the moral corruption, but there should be accountability. as I will be fair, this is human nature. I am not saying that in the advanced countries that the people work by their own conscience or whatsoever. There is also rule of law. If you break the signal in the European European states, you will come to know that there will be huge fines on you. Similar situation happens in the Middle East countries. All the drivers are working very, you can say, proper way in those states, but as they enter in Pakistan, the situation becomes different. And one thing is further, even in Pakistan, as you will enter the Islamabad, you will be extra careful because the accountability system is, you can say, a bit higher. So the absence of accountability, all the public servants are, you can say, without any accountability. They do not fear for this. If they give money to pass on money to their immediate bosses, they and to the political masters, they are confirmed that no one is going to make them accountable for this. Particularly the powerful agencies like the army, the establishment, the DMGs, the secretaries, these are all above the accountability, not above the law. Not above the law doesn't give indemnity to them that they have they are above the law, but unfortunately the history shows that they have been never answerable before the law. For example, the clause 6 of our constitution says that any person who abrogates the law or breaks the law constitution, he is responsible for the capital punishment. There have been 4 dictators. There no one has been brought about before the law because they never fear of the accountability. This was some of the general framework, and you know that there is there is absence of the accountability. By the way, in which organization you are working, I think if you analyze your working, you will organization, you will see that if there is any chance that you can skip the accountability, you will you are inclined towards the corruption. Immediately, यार ये छोटी सी बात आप देख लें कि हम शॉपर जो है वो खुली जगह पर इधर उधर देख के we throw the shoppers on the other doors or in the street or in the, you can say, the drain system whatsoever, and ultimately we have to face the problem, but we say that we get rid of this garbage and it is there. The lack of moral leadership. Our leadership is in itself corrupt. So what we can accept from, we expect from them? Definitely, if a person is himself or herself corrupt, how he can change the nation? The tragedy of one of the with Pakistani people is that with a few exceptions, from the very beginning of the history of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Liaquat Ali Khan, it is very sorry to say that our leadership have never focused on the moral grooming of the nation. Morally, they are more corrupt than the nation. You will listen time and again, you will read time and again that many of the National Assembly members have not submitted their tax returns. So how they can teach the nation? They are making more and more their factories. They are avoiding the tax. So the one of the other reason for the corruption is that their lack of moral leadership. The leader should be such powerful and should be ruling over the heart of the people that he should convince the people to avoid this moral corruption. Image of Pakistan as corrupt country. If you remember in the previous lecture, I gave you a snapshot of some of the pictures, and I talked about that Pakistan was at the 34th number. So that was a more technical terms. This in here you will see that it is better to understand. According to the Transparency International report, and you know this is organization or the NGOs that provide that calculates the data according to its indicators, and ultimately at the end of the year it publishes a report in which it states and it ranks the countries according to the corruption index. Kya tha ji corruption index? This is CPI. This is not the consumer price index. This is the corruption perception index. So you should be able to differentiate CPI from the the abbreviation is the same, but it's you can say the explanation is different. I have taken the data of just 2 years so that we can make comparison of this. According to report of 2012, Pakistan was at the 139th nation out of the 177. So it means only 38 countries were were most corrupt than us. 138 हमसे कम थे और जो है वो 38 जो है वो जाके जो है वो हमसे ज़्यादा थे, and we were at the 130th nation. However, in 23 the ranking increased. Pakistan improved on corruption perception index and the rank is 127. कुछ हमने जो है वो जंप लगाया है. There is improvements in according to this indicator. On paper there seems no you can say no improvement, but according to this there seems that there is some kind of improvement. Who are the least corrupt nation? Denmark, New Zealand tied for the first position. It means there is the least corruption in the Denmarks and the New Zealand. From here one phenomena is clear, that in the corruption is always there. So we can't say that there is a country or any example on this small planet that is called the Earth that country is corruption free. So we can't say there is less or more or least or massive corruption. So the New Zealand and Denmark are the strong contender, and there is the for the first position that there is the least corruption. So I would wish that you and me visit these countries individually and see that how these people have developed over there. Books are there, articles are there, researches are there, but the life phenomena is something different. Then who are the worst nation? If you see that the Afghanistan, your neighboring country, the North Korea and Somalia this year showed the worst preference. These were at the number 175, 6 and 77. So these are the 3 countries that are worst, and you can imagine that these are the least developed countries. So can I say that there is a link between the corruption and the development? Yes, because all the developed countries has least corruption as compared to the developing countries. If you see, neither the Afghanistan is developed country nor North Korea or the Somalia. On the other side, the countries who are the least corrupt, Denmark and New Zealand, you can see that they are the least corrupt and they are the most developed countries in the world. Effects of corruption on Pakistan. That way, if you remember in the previous slide, some of the slide, maybe in the previous lecture, we saw the effect of and that which sectors are critically affected by the corruption. Here we will see that what the corruption has led to the problems or the mechanism or the polarization of the society or the change of chemistry of the thoughts, ideologies and many of these things. So the first is that the class difference in society. That is the most dangerous for any of the community. There is a gap now between the nations, and this is based on the corruption, because the people who make corruption, they become more wealthy as compared to the other nation and the poor. I can't say that the poor are more less corrupt, but they have least opportunity to make corruption. However, if they have least corruption, we can't assume least corruption and least opportunities. We can't say that they will be corrupt if they are given the opportunity. It is just our assumption that may be violated when we do this. So the class difference is now clear there. Haves and haves not. The corrupt mafia, you can say the villas, the van and the cars. There are so many servants. They have many houses in the big cities of Pakistan. The second thing is still in the underdevelopment phase. All the countries who are facing this, they are under the development phase. So it means it restricts the development. It is you can say, the ceiling on the development. If there is less development, if there is more corruption, there is less development. All the sectors. Pakistan is the unique, you can say, the most important example of this, that each and every portion, institution is not free from the corruption. So it keeps the, rather than still in the it keeps the countries in the underdevelopment stage. So this is the second heinous consequences of this corruption. Weak institutional setup. It never allows any of the institution to become powerful when there is the corruption. If everyone is corrupt, the institutions are not made by the buildings. Institutions are made by the people or the human capital. If the human capital that plays the pivotal role is in itself is not appropriate, or you cannot functioning well, we can say the institution cannot be strong. When we say that democracy in this is strong in the United States or the Great Britain, we don't say that there is some building that is very strong and it is made of some concrete and lead. No, the system is strong there and there is less corruption. That's why the system is strong. In India, you can say the corruption is decreasing and the systems are improving, and we hope same for the Pakistan, that corruption decreases and our institution becomes more and more powerful, because the ultimately institution has to deliver. Every time when we face the problem, we look at the institution. Judiciary is the institution, police is the institution, army is the institution. So every time when we are in different situation, we go for the institution. So the person, any army chief, any police officer, any public representative, they insert in itself not the institution. Institution keep on going over generation and generation, and the people become the part of this and they have to contribute this. The other is, it has led towards the immorality. If you see that there was a two-way that there was the moral corruption, and we said that the moral, if there is moral collapse, it leads towards the corruption. Here we are saying that the corruption leads towards the immorality. संग दिल हो जाता है इंसान, it becomes selfish, it becomes narrow-sighted. Not narrow-sighted in case of profits. These people are very clever and they make huge profits there, but at the same time at the cost of poor people. So it means they become immoral. Every time profit doesn't mean, profit is legitimate and legal in all the religions, but not on the exploitations of the others. How to curb the issue? हमने मर्ज की बड़ी जो है वो वजाहत की. Now how to control this, because I have linked it that if we want to develop, if we want to make progress, only we will have to reduce the level of corruption. So how to curb this issue? The first is, penalties should be strict. आप कहेंगे कि जी आप ही तो आप कह रहे थे कि strict हैं. Yes, now I would add it with one word, that these should be strict with implementation. बड़े सख्त वहाँ पर असूल हैं. हमारे जिन डिक्टेटर्स ने ला तोड़े, आइन तोड़ा, सबको पता था. Particularly after in the 1973, it was provided in the constitution that any person who will break the constitution will be held to the capital punishment. But the people did this. Zia did this, और ज़िया ने उसको जो है वो punishment दिलवा दी जिसने आइन में जो है वो दर्ज करवाया था. Then the Musharraf did the same thing. he may face some of the problem, but it looks that there will be the topi drama for this, and ultimately he will be getting escape. That will, it looks on the wall, but the nations can make history. We can't say that this is that I am necessarily true. There could be some different result. However, if this nation can do this, that it can bring a powerful military general to the nation who used to sell the people of Pakistan, who used to trade off the people of Pakistan, who used to be the agent of the USA, we should go for his trial. And if we are in as a nation, we go for this. Ultimately, these are just the blame. He should be given full opportunity to appear before the court, and the court should be transparent, justice should be transparent. It should not be like the case of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Now judges are feeling shame that were at the part of that, you can say, the bench. Particularly, I think only Justice Naseem Hassan Shah may be the one person alive that was the part of that. So the Musharraf should be given equal opportunity to defend himself, and if he is found guilty of this, he should be given punishment according to the law. So if there is any missing of the penalties, there should be it should be included into the laws. There are some you can say the law and penalties required refinement. For example, if there is the Hudud ordinance and whatsoever, I am not indulging myself into this discussion. So I am saying that if if anyone of the law needs some of the refinement and overhauling, it should be done easily. Accountability of ruling officials. We said that one of the reason for the corruption was that the civil servants are not accountable, and if I am not accountable before any of the, you can say, the authority, I being as a human nature, I will be making you can say the corruption. It is a natural phenomenon. It even happens in the developed nations. So there should be the accountability mechanism at each and every stage. It should not be as tedious that it restricts the growth of the system, but at the same time there should be a mechanism that maybe in the implementation, so that the officials have the fear that if they will be making such kind of malpractices, they may be answerable before the transparent system, and this accountability can curb this curse. Imparting Islamic perspective. Islam is a fundamental and the complete code of life for all the times. The only problem with us people is that we are unable to translate the Quran in the modern context. For example, there could be given many examples that the general principle is still there. It is not my duty and not my jurisdiction. It is now the experts of the Sharia and the laws, Sharia laws, that how they interpret these laws in the modern context. By not interpreting these laws in the modern context, we have just make the Islam a very rigid religion without any hesitation, without any of the problem. I do believe, being a very beginner students of the education or the economics or the public administration, I do believe that if all our laws are framed in the Islamic perspective, although a Constitution of Pakistan is in the preamble of the Islamic ideology, yet the implementation is necessary. And the last but not the least thing in this, that the teaching morality and ethics. Teaching morality and ethics, what this means, that at different stages, it is my experience that I am a teacher and I never talked about in the class about the morality and the ethics. There could be many reasons for this. The first is the people have no interest in this. They think that the person has come for the other things and now he is teaching this or that. There should be a mechanism for this. For example, in our era, there were the zero period class that were assigned for this, that was teaching the morality and the ethics. I don't say that I am more ethical as compared to the new generation, yet there exists a phenomena that could have improved the ethical nature of the people. But unfortunately, due to the commercialism and the so-called liberty and the enlightenment, these are just we have forgotten to teach our generation, particularly the young generation working on the internet, messages, mobiles, Skypes and whatsoever. These are very useful measures, useful ways to interact, but at the same time we should keep an eye on that whether these are used properly or is there any misuse of this. To bring the change, you have to change. Very, very fundamental thing. And if you remember that in the at the end of the previous lecture, I made promise with you that we have to start our effort to curb this curse. To bring the change, you have to change. If I am not changed, the change will not occur. I should start. If I want to change the nation, I want to change the community, I would start from myself. Look at some of the, I have just taken one of the verse from the Quran. Allah will never change. Look at this, the God can change, but He promises. He will never change a grace means nation, community or whatsoever, which He has bestowed on a people, change a grace means ending of the infliction, ending of the burden. He will not change the fate, rather than fate, which He has bestowed on people until they change what is in their own selves. जब तक हम अपने आप को चेंज नहीं करेंगे, the God will not come to our help. He can help us, but He has set a principle. He has made Himself bound for a principle that He will be only helping those people who help themselves. And if you remember that La yughayyir Allahu biqawmin hatta la yughayyiru bi anfusihim. So this is the translation of that verse. And verily, Allah is all hearer, all knower. At the same time, the God is showing His properties, that He knows, He can. These are some of the, you can say, the unique properties, unique characteristic of the Almighty Allah, that He can do this. Despite this, He will not do this. And if we see some of the last statement here from the Givora, the revolution is not an apple that falls. ये कोई पकी पकाई खीर नहीं है जो हमें जो है वो मिल जाएगा. We always talk about the revolution, that we want revolution, we want change for this. But according to the Guevara, this is not an apple that will fall, but what is this? When it is ripe. ये इस तरह नहीं है कि ये सेब की तरह गिर जाएगा जब ये पक जाएगा. You have to make it fall. I think you got the idea. We have to try it. We do not let the things happen. We should make the things happen. Only this way the situation can change. Otherwise, we will not change. I have told you that I have just get you aware of the Almighty Allah's principle. Then from a very well-known social economist or social scientist, one of the quote from him: "The revolution is not an apple that will fall." It means it is not an easy task that I just sit here and I am waiting that the revolution will occur. I have to come forward and I have to deliver that the change could be possible. Now, as in the previous lecture I said that we will be linking this corruption with some of the other problem. This problem is this is independent of the corruption. However, we can link it with this. Challenges to the institution building. Why the institutions are not strong, well built. Not well built mean by building, not why they are strong. Strong means why they are unable to perform. So these are the challenges, and we will see. The first is Pakistan's list of political maladies is infinite. किस किस को हम जो है वो रोएं, किस किस का जो है वो गम करें, but includes, we will be talking about few, and I think it will be interesting for you that I have taken some of the picture from the newspaper, from the you can say the snapshots from the internet and other, just to highlight the idea. What are the maladies of Pakistan? The first is pervasive corruption. हम बहुत discuss कर चुके. I will not speak even a single sentence. Incompetence politician, we can just see that over the years they have the opportunity to serve the nation, but as they have been unable to serve the nation, it indirectly means that they were incompetent. A military-dominated state and bureaucracy. We talked about a lot about the military and the bureaucracy in the middle of this course. Yet it has been one of the political maladies of the Pakistan. The political or the statesmen can only change the situation of the Pakistan. If we say that the history is unable to provide any significant example where that military or the bureaucracy had done wonders. The first the political minds comes, they organize the nation, they unite the nation, they put the high standards by themselves, moral standard by themselves, the nation follows them, then they force the bureaucracy to deliver, and bureaucracy is not from something outside, they are part of the community. When there is good input, they will be performing well. Ineffective political parties. I am not political affiliated with any of the party, but I can say if you go to the manifestos of all the parties, they are very lucrative. Starting from the Pakistan People's Party, Roti Kapda aur Makan, they could not deliver. The PMLN, that is the other biggest party of the country, they have their manifestos, they will not deliver. They are unable to do it. Same with the Imran Khan in KPK, he has the government, but still there has been not a significant change that we could say that this government is different from the other. So we say that the ineffective political parties करने के गुफ्तार के गाजी हैं, किरदार के गाजी नहीं. And who will be the gazi of kirdar? He will be dominating the people and he will be ruling at the heart of the nation. An ethically divided nation. We are morally corrupt and ethnically we are divided. We are Sindhis, we are Punjabis, we are Pakhtuns and we are Balochis, but unfortunately not Pakistani. Very sorry to say, and you can see there have been example that when the Punjabi people traveled in the areas of Balochistan and Sindh, there are targeting killings. If there are Shias and Sunni, you can see that there are the people first recognize them, they see that whether this person is Shia or Sunni, and then make the killing of them. So this is also our political problem for this, as ethnically we are totally a divided nation. Unproductive foreign policy. Foreign policy पर हमारा control ही नहीं है हमारे statesmen का. It has been the domain of the army, and still I can say that due maybe some grip of the statesmen on this, still the army is the major stakeholder for this. So unproductive foreign policy means we have not done wonderful on the foreign policy. The foreign policy is should be very effective, because if we open new windows of trade and we get alliance with the developed countries, we make memorandum of understanding and we send our students to foreign countries on their scholarship. These are the foreign policies, but over the years there have been unproductive. बातें बड़ी हुई हैं, काम कुछ नहीं हुआ. And persistent internal conflicts. ये तो आपको जो है वो पता है. Since the Afghan war in 1979 in our neighboring countries, when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, since then we are facing some of the internal conflict. ये internal conflict जो है वो terrorism की वजह से भी है. It is also due to our ethnicity, it is due to our religious differences, and this is but it is a significant maladies of the political system of the Pakistan. If you see here, what is this? A riot started across Pakistan after assassination of Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. It is not only the case of Bhutto, unfortunately. If it happens with any of the political leader or any of the you can say the big figure, it will be the same case. So what is this? The people are intolerant. No doubt that it was a very big shock to the nations, particularly who were the follower of the Benazir or the People's Party. Yet it is not a good way to demonstrate that we are just going out to set fire our own property and the properties of the other. All this is the Pakistan. If I just break this pen, this is the pen of and the Pakistan money has been spent on this, and where Pakistan money doesn't fall from the sky, it has been generated by my taxes or your taxes. So this shows that why the institutions are not getting stronger and getting built. This is the reason that there are the political maladies. So we will just concentrate on this. If you look here, corruption and state incompetence. The first is issues. What are the issues? The disruption of balance in the power sector. उसमें जो है वो क्या? In the 17th amendment passed by Musharraf in 2008, उसने अपने आप को परपेचुएट करने के लिए ये जो है वो उसमें की, और उसमें क्या है कि उसमें सारी जो है वो पावर जो है वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर से जो है वो प्रेसिडेंट की तरफ चली गई. And when there was, when he made promise that up to that year he will be sending it back to the parliament or the prime minister, when he could not do, there were demonstration for this. Lack of transparency in the public means कि जो है वो कोई transparency नहीं है. We have discussed this about this. Procurement process, bribery, major obstacles in the effective and equitable provision of public services. ये जो है आप कोई भी procurement जो है वो ये pen जो है, I am dead sure I am fortunate to have this example that if the real price of this pen is 20, I can say the 100 rupees, I am dead sure that it is not have been bought by in 100 rupees. It could be 150 rupees or 200 rupees. So the procurement in the I don't say that all the official who have involved in this they are corrupt. The mechanism is this, that they are bound to depend on the people who get benefit from this. Even I am sitting on this and I give tender for this, the people will contact me, and ultimately if I will not going against them, I am going against them, they are so powerful that they will make create many of the problem for me. There are federal law permits open competition for government contracts but state official award in exchange of bribe. मैंने जी 100 कंप्यूटर खरीदना है जी इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए अपने के लिए. The constitution or the federal law provide that I will be giving the tender, open tender and the bidding. What will be happen? On paper हर चीज सही जो है वो हो रही है, but what will be in the reality? I will see what I will be see. I will be getting bribes in exchange. The people or the tender presenter will be approaching me to give. तो जो मुझे ज़्यादा मेरे हाथ जो है वो रंग देगा, I will be just opening the tender for this. So होगा क्या इसमें? You are the public administrator. होगा इसमें क्या? ये 100 रुपए का था, किसी ने कहा कि जी आप हमें टेंडर दे दें, हम दे देंगे. I went in favor of this. So now he has given bribe to me, so he will be compensated all this money from the quality of this. There will be compromise on the quality of this. And the other is the judicial accountability and inaction regarding extra constitutional action of federal official. Federal official जो है, now there is activism on the part of the judiciary and the officials, even up to the higher level of the secretaries and whatsoever. They get fear from this, but still they do not think that they will be answerable before the judiciary, and they may face any of the sentence. So that's why it is this. ये जो है वो 2008 के फिगर हैं. If you are interested, 138th out of 179 countries. This is again giving you that the billions in US aid sent for Pakistan war on terror was कहाँ गए जी? Misappropriated, and it was forcing their military to use rather unconventional tactics. तो इसमें हमारे जो है वो मिलिट्री ने भी जो है वो खूब जो है वो इसमें जो है वो हाथ रंगे. सबका जो है वो इसमें जो है वो किरदार है, एक को जो है वो हम नहीं कर सकते. The political maladies of Pakistan will continue in the next lecture. Here let me brief you about the area about the discussion we covered today. If you remember, the corruption was our initial stage, initial point from where we started. We talked about its consequences, its reasons, and how to curb it. I will focus on this, that how to curb it. The simple way is it that there should be the implementation of law. I will go one step further, that there I spoke and I explained that there should be strict penalties, but the penalties are there. There should be there should be the implementation and the quick implementation of the these punishment. There should be transparency. There should have been the teaching of the morality. And the ethical morals should be given to the new generation, to the students, so that they have some of its implementation on this. After the corruption, we just tried to de-link ourselves from corruption, but we just went into new debate, and the debate is that what are the political maladies of the Pakistan, political problem of the Pakistan, and in the context of that why the institutions are not getting strong for this. Again, I would like to say that the institutions do not get strong by the buildings, they get strong by the people of Pakistan. So we went through the history of Pakistan, that there are many reasons. Pervasive corruption there, that we are an ununited nation, our leadership could not deliver over the year. Then we went further, and we also saw that the rule of the dominance of the military has been also one of the reason for this. So we went about this, and we saw that when in the dictatorship the balance of power was shifted from the parliament to the president, it also created at the later stage. And through one or the two picture, I also tried to show you that we are the least tolerant nation, and when there is any kind of phenomena, we are so you can say intolerant that we break our own property, we set our properties on fire, and we destroy the country, and ultimately loss has to suffer the country. So take care for the next till the next lecture. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.